What is up, my friends on the internet? Back at it with another video, and on today's episode we are talking about mini motos. Let's get it. Okay, today is the day I am finally making a comparison video between the Honda Super Cub and the Honda Trail 125. I absolutely love both of these bikes, but today is the day where we go through all the pros and cons of both bikes, and you can hopefully decide which one is right for you. Let's get started. We are set up in the carport here, the newly painted carport. Did the floors, a new fresh coat of paint, painted these pillars black, they used to be white, and next I'm gonna fill all the cracks in the ceiling here and paint that black as well, just to kind of give it a facelift, make it more modern. But in the spirit of being Triumph enthusiast, the Street Twin leaked oil all over the carport and already ruined the new paint. We love Triumphs around here. Good old bikes, high quality machines. But speaking of actual high quality machines that don't leak oil, the Honda Super Cub, the C125, this bike is incredible, and there's a lot of reasons you may want this over its bigger brother, the Honda Trail. And I'm gonna go through those now. The reason I'm facelifting the carport is because I wanna do more videos like this, just kind of sitting in a studio style, but outside in the fresh air, talking about motorcycles. Just because this is what naturally happened on this channel. I built a whole little workshop back there. I've gone to scenes, I've gone to different sets and areas and like little rural places to film videos, but filming at home just feels more at home. So Carport Chronicles it is. But like I was saying, there's a lot of reasons to love the Super Cub. There's a lot of reasons to love it more than the Trail 125. And I'm just gonna run through those really quickly to kind of give you an overview on why you might wanna buy this one. Speaking of buying this one big reason you may want this versus the Trail is price. This bike is $100 cheaper MSRP, but MSRP is not all you have to worry about with these motorcycles. They are, they have a little bit of a cool tax depending on which one you get. And when it comes down to it, as far as enthusiasts go, the Trail is the coolest one. This bike has an MSRP of $38.99, and they tend to sit on dealership floors. They tend to not sell super quick. It's not the most desirable model, simply because if you want a leg shield, generally people want an actual scooter. They'll buy a Metropolitan, they'll buy a Yamaha Vino, they'll buy anything like that that has a little bit of a leg shield, has under seat storage, automatic transmission. There's reasons to buy a legitimate scooter versus buying the Super Cub, and a lot of people do that. So that $38.99, you can probably get out the door at $4 grand, if not just under $4 grand still, even with dealer fees and everything, because they're pushed to sell it. So you can offer less than MSRP, they tack their fees on, you walk out at MSRP. That is not gonna happen with the Trail. With the Trail, there is the cool tax the strongest. It is the most desirable of all of them. They fly out of dealerships. A lot of you comment on these videos talking about how long you've been waiting to get one. You're on a wait list for a year. You've been going to every dealership, calling every dealership. You can't find one. It is incredibly difficult to get your hands on a Trail 125. I managed by sheer luck and determination. I live in Atlanta, and there's a lot of dealerships here. There's a lot of dealerships in every single metro Atlanta area. I would just cold call them. Call every single one. I would check their websites. I would refresh. I would look and look and look. It was taking a while. I actually built my Grom dirt bike simply because I couldn't get my hands on a Trail 125. I bought the brand new 2022 Grom. I bought it in 2021, built it into a dirt bike with knobbies and a crash cage and everything because I couldn't get a Trail. But after owning that bike for about a year, I figured maybe it died down a little bit. I would start my search again, and I got lucky. I sold that Grom to a really cool dude that lived down in Savannah, and then immediately started my hunt for a Trail 125. Calling dealerships. Finally, I saw a dealership that had one on its website. It said it had two. I call up there and they say they don't actually have them. They were pre-orders. But he ended up finding out that they had a truck come in that same day, and there was another one sitting on the truck still in its box, in its crate, unbuilt. I bought it, sight unseen, went up to the dealership, and that is my Trail now. But it had a $39.99 MSRP, and I walked out of there spending $5,000 to get that bike. And that's not uncommon. I feel like I got lucky. Like I said, with this bike, you can get it for MSRP, but for the trail, you're going to be spending a lot of money. I've read on forums and had comments where people are spending $600, $700. One guy said he spent $8,400 to get one because the dealer had marked it up to like almost $6,000 and then threw on their fees after tax, title tag, freight, build, all that. This guy spent $8,400 on a bike with an MSRP of $39.99. I will not do that. I will not recommend you do that. I think dealerships that partake in that kind of behavior are shitty and scummy people. If the bike is desirable, just let it sell out at its normal price. Don't like just gouge people and like bend them over backwards to get these bikes. We're enthusiasts, and recently we've really been getting punished for being enthusiasts. The same is happening in cars, but that's just that. I ran into the same thing with my car. I bought a Volkswagen Beetle instead of a Volkswagen GTI because there's no cool text on a Beetle. Only teenage girls and old women like Beetles. So I got the same Volkswagen turbocharged engine in a less desirable model for a normal amount of money. You can do that same thing with a Super Cub. Another reason you might want the Super Cub instead of the Trail is tubeless wheels. If you get a flat with a tube tire, I've said this on the channel so many times, I don't want to repeat myself, but I understand that this kind of video is going to bring in some new viewers, so I'll touch on it again. It being tubeless, I can change this flat in 5 minutes. Super easy. I can go from flat to plugged, 5 minutes. It's going to be a 30-minute job with a tube. Like on the Trail, it's going to take a while. It takes a long time to plug. Not even to plug. You can pull the tube, you can patch it, you can pull the tube, you can replace it. But either way, that's a way more difficult process of removing the wheel, getting the tire off, replacing everything, getting it all buttoned up, putting it back together, aligning it, readjusting your chain. Super problematic. This bike, center stand, pop the bike up. You can just lift whichever wheel you need off the ground, the front or the rear, by like leaning the bike on its center stand, spin it around till you find it, plug and go. Just re-air up, you know? Easy. That is a huge advantage. Anytime I have a choice, I will pick tubeless over tubed. Honestly, at this point, I don't think I will ever buy another tubed bike, simply because every time I do, I regret it, and I end up spending a ton of money to get wheels that are tubeless for it. So instead of buying new wheels, I'm just gonna buy the right bike going forward. So yeah, that's a huge reason you might wanna consider this one. This bike is beautiful. Every single line and design cue flows perfectly. The leg shield bumps out just perfectly for that engine. All of the like logos and symbols, the emblems, are actually hard emblems that are embossed. They're not stickers just placed on the bike. You can see the Super Cub one over there. You can see the Honda logo there, another Super Cub one there. The headlight bezel is beautiful. Nicely done chrome with an attractive headlight. And even the horn shroud is beautiful. This bike is just perfectly designed. I like that little V that the handlebars create. I love these mirrors. This is my favorite looking mini moto of them all. This, I would probably go on record and say, this is my favorite looking motorcycle of all time, seriously. Versus not just with all the other Cubs. I mean, motorcycles, period. I think this is the best looking bike for sale ever. Like, I really love it. The exhaust, classic. I love things that look old. I really do. I love a motorcycle to look old but have new technology, and this is the embodiment of that. It is gorgeous, and that's probably a reason you might like it too. It's just straight up beautiful. There's nothing not to like. Every single spot is beautifully designed and perfect. And without trying too hard to think of reasons, just going with what jumps out to me, because I feel like that is more genuine, the last reason I think you may want to get the Super Cub over the Trail is because of seat height. I'm gonna roll in some footage here of me getting on both bikes, kind of moving around on the seat, moving around to the passenger area or lack thereof, standing up, sitting down, straight-legged in various points, just gonna show you how somebody my size fits on these two bikes. You're looking at that footage right now, of course, but I am about 194 pounds as of this morning before breakfast. You gotta weigh in before breakfast. That's how you get a good answer. I am 5'11" with a 32-inch inseam exactly. And this is how I fit on the bikes. You can obviously tell that I fit better on the Trail, like, cause I'm a big dude, but the Super Cub is noticeably lower. I think riders that are really short can get away with riding this bike. Especially if you're willing to lean over, you don't have like to put on one leg. You're not worried about like flat footing both sides at every stop. This bike really accommodates short people, especially because of the step through. The step through allows you, both bikes have a step through. It's just deeper on the Super Cub. It's thinner on the Super Cub. It allows you to stand up, legs pretty close together, and get off the seat when you reach a stoplight. You don't have to be straddling over the seat. You can come to a stop, scoot off the seat, and be standing in the opening and be really short on this bike. It was designed with that in mind. Short people wearing dress shoes that don't want to mess up their shoes, people wearing skirts. Like, the bike is super accessible, and both of them have that, but it's just a little bit stronger on the Super Cub. So that's the reason you may want to get it over the trail, especially if you're just trying to get to work, trying to stay clean, trying to get some cheap transport. Great bike for that. I love it. But let's move on to why you probably want to buy the Trail instead, despite the steep price difference. The Honda Trail 125, there are a good number of reasons you might want this one instead. Obviously, mine is fully built. Everything is touched up. This bike is far from stock, whereas the other bike is a very stock. So I'm gonna go objectively. Yes, mine looks way different than the one that you're gonna get in a dealership or from somebody else, but we're gonna talk about the bike at its core and why you might like it more. There's a bunch of things that jump out. For one, usability. This is a very serious dirt bike. I've taken all kinds of motorcycles off-road. If you've been following this channel, just out of the bikes that we've owned, I've taken a G310R, not the G310 GS off-road, Triumph Bonneville T100, Kawasaki Versys, Ducati Scrambler, tons of different e-bikes, tons of different like vintage Vespas, genuine Stellas. Both of these bikes, I built a Grom dirt bike. I had the KLR off-road. I had just lots and lots of different bikes off-road. CRF, YZ. Yeah, so like everything from taking an actual dirt bike like the CRF 250 to taking my Harley Dyna. They've all been off-road. I have a pretty good understanding of how bikes operate off-road, even bikes that aren't designed to be off-road. And this one is like punching above its weight. I am a way better rider when I'm on this than when I'm on any other bike, including designated dirt bikes. The low seat height combined with the trackable power and the just overall ruggedness of this bike make it really usable off-road. There's a guy just blasting his horn over there. Hopefully you don't hear that too bad. The woes of filming in this carport, but I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. But yeah, the bike off-road is amazing. If you get yourself in too deep, you just pick it up and get it out of there. It's rugged. I've dropped it. I've banged it. I've like dropped it on purpose at times. Like, this bike has been used, but it's great. It also is just like really approachable because of that seat height. Having that trackable power, but having a low seat height, a generally low seat height, is amazing. Great combination. Cannot recommend it enough if you're trying to explore off-road. It is competent. I said you may want the Super Cub over the Trail 125 because of looks, but that may not be the case. It may be the same reason you get this one. Like, maybe that one is a little bit too pretty, too elegant. You want something more rugged. You want to look tough. You want to look tough on your Mini Moto, which is like ironic and weird and not ever going to happen. But if you need that, this is the one. It looks aggressive. You can make it look even more aggressive. Yeah, that is like a huge selling point for it. It does look like a serious motorcycle. As I showed you in that size comparison, it also fits more like a serious, real big motorcycle. When I get on this bike, it doesn't feel like a Mini Moto to me. It feels like a motorcycle, a full-size motorcycle that's just kind of smaller on the smaller end, you know. Whereas the Super Cub definitely feels like a Mini Moto. It definitely feels small. It definitely feels in line with a kind of a big wheel scooter kind of feel if you've ever ridden something like that. Those Kymcos and Aprilias and whatnot, scooters with just a larger than 10-inch wheel. But yeah, this one feels like a proper motorcycle. The seat height is in line with a lot of cruisers and a lot of standards. It's just normal. So that may be something you're considering. You might want to buy this one because you're just simply too big for the other one, you know? Yeah, that's really something to take into mind. Like, this does feel more legitimate. Another big selling point for the Trail 125, as you can see, is the aftermarket is plentiful. I've done a lot of stuff to this motorcycle. If you want to know about all the parts that are on this bike, just go watch my video where I talk about the build on it. The build series of this bike is actually still ongoing. I just paused it for a bit. I had other projects to work on, so getting everything out to actually wrench on this bike and digging through Japanese and Thai websites to find the parts I want, in particular because I'm so picky, it's just time consuming, and I needed a break from it. I needed to mix up the content a little bit. I just didn't want to keep filming just install trail videos. While the trail is my bread and butter and why most of you are here, there's other stuff that I'm doing, and I want to document that too, so I took a break from that. But for those of you waiting, the trail build will start soon enough. For those of you who haven't seen it, go back and watch those videos if you want to know more about what's going on this bike, because there's a lot of parts on this bike. But it's so easy to get parts for this bike. Like I said, I'm picky. The fact that I'm allowed to be picky and able to be picky with which parts I get shows that there's a lot of parts. Sometimes you have to buy crash bars because they're the only crash bars on the market. Sometimes you have to buy a headlight guard because it's the only headlight guard, the only passenger seat, the only windscreen. This one, so many options. I'm just digging through, like picking finishes and picking sizes and picking whatever. Picking country of origin, I'm like, I'd rather get this part from Japan. It's gonna come a little quicker than if it comes from Thailand, so I'll choose this one instead. I am spoiled by how easy it is to modify this bike, and I think you will be too. If you wanna kinda get into basic wrenching, you wanna kinda do it yourself a little bit, or just experiment with modifying a motorcycle, this is a great platform for that. Working on it is pretty easy. Parts are really cheap. Parts are really available. Can't recommend it enough if you're wanting to try to like do your own build or do your own customization. The Super Cub has some stuff out there. There's some stuff you can do to it, but it's way more minor. It tends to be like, I want a black mirror instead of a silver mirror. It's like not like really performance upgrades. There's exhaust out there. There's wheels out there, but there's not really a whole lot else. There is suspension, but I think changing the suspension on a Super Cub, like why? You know, the suspension is good enough. But yeah, this bike, you can really do it up and be super competitive off-road if you start throwing some money at it, and it's not very much money. So that's a huge plus for the Trail 125. Okay, quick recap. If I could only have one, which one would it be? Let's talk through the hot specs really quick. Tubeless tires, better. This one is faster. This one is prettier. This one is cheaper. And this one is slower and handles worse, but it's way more rugged, has a bountiful aftermarket, and feels more like a real motorcycle. This one, if we're going pound for pound, my unit for my unit, this one also has a passenger seat. This one does not, and that is an issue for some, but the new Super Cub does have a passenger accommodation, so kind of null and void if you buy one newer than this one. This is 2021. All Super Cubs now are available with the seat, so take that for what you will. But with that being said, it is September 2023 as I film this, and 2021 Super Cubs are still sitting on dealership floors, so you can get yourself a screaming deal on an old one if you don't need that seat. But if I could only have one, if I could only have one of these glorious machines to ride every single day, I'm gonna go ahead and assume, when I say I can only have one, I don't mean just one motorcycle or one of these bikes. I mean just one vehicle. If I had to go down to one of these being my only vehicle, which one would it be? It would be, surprise, surprise to no one, it would be the Honda Trail 125. I absolutely love this motorcycle for a few reasons. For one, I do a lot of off-roading. This bike does it better than this bike. I carry a passenger. This bike obviously does it better than this bike. This bike also feels more legitimate. It feels bigger. I'm a big dude. This one feels better. And it allows me to keep doing the things I want to do. Ride off-road, ride to work, make install videos because the aftermarket is so bountiful, make off-roading vehicles because it does that so well, and make travel videos. Look at all these glorious places the bike has been, because it's just really utilitarian. It goes and goes and goes. I'm carrying extra fuel. I have all my stuff on there on all the racks and luggage, and boom, that guy is ready for adventure. This guy could be ready for adventure, but pound for pound, it is not right now. If I had the 2023 or later Super Cub with the passenger seat and threw some knobbies on it and figured out the luggage, maybe the things would be different. Like some saddlebags, a passenger seat, and some better tires for off-road. I could see myself taking this bike off-road. The bike's been off-road a lot. It is super easy. It does it. It handles it and handles it and handles it. I'd probably prefer to have this bike looks-wise. If I could only have one vehicle, this one is, I'm proud of how it looks. The thing is beautiful. This one just looks like a rugged-ass dirt bike. It's not very good-looking per se. If you're into that, sure. Dirt bikes don't look cool to me, though. I like stuff that looks like classic and old. I drive a Beetle. Super Cub is in line with that. It's the Beetle equivalent of a motorcycle, you know? So
That's the one I would pick just because it fits my needs. It fits the channel. It fits my hobbies. It fits my needs. Again, this one doesn't necessarily fit my needs as well, so it would not get chosen. But I do think it might be the right choice for a lot of you. If you don't want to modify your bike, if you don't need aftermarket, Super Cub is better. If you don't need it to feel bigger and more rugged, the Super Cub is better. If you don't need to carry a passenger, or at this point, if you do need to carry a passenger, Super Cub is better. Really, it's just an amazing machine. It's gorgeous. This one is like a tool. This one is an art piece. You got to pick what you need. Do you want to go out to shows? Do you want to show off and just like really show the world how clean and nice your motorcycle is? You want to get compliments at every single gas station you go to, because you will? Or do you want to just really go out there and rip trails and have fun and just have a utilitarian machine that you don't really have to care about being filthy or dirty or breaking a thing? Pick what's best for you, but that's my choice. Might not be your choice. If you enjoyed this down and dirty comparison between the C125 and the Trail 125, hit me with a thumbs up. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. If you agree with me, let me know. If you disagree with my points, let me know in the comments. I like there to be a discussion there. I get really good comments lately. People are really encouraging. People have really good questions. People have really good feedback, and I appreciate all of that. Constructive criticism is always welcome. Compliments are definitely always welcomed. But yeah, that's it for this one. Hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Go outside. Enjoy the beautiful day we're having. Hopefully you're having a beautiful day wherever you are in the world. Fall is upon us, which we love for riding. I will see you on the next one.